done. I think we should do it as late as possible today. If not, tomorrow, no, we can't do tomorrow morning. We should do the podcast as late as possible today. When are you leaving? Yeah. Should we get out at 3:30? Should we do it at 3 then? It would be only in the A-block, so we can do it. We can do it like 3:15. Yeah. I think the perfect time to do it would be 3:15. Yeah. Completely. And then that's the last thing we do. We literally film from 3:15 up until 4:45. That's true. No, I think we just talk about what a week it's been. Yeah. I think it's we don't. Yeah, completely. I think so. We talk about Monday through to now. Well, no, we talk about Thursday through to now. Yeah. Yeah, and also no one cares. Did Lobby say anything about PM's movements, where he is, if he's going on visit? Yeah. So she wouldn't confirm that. try to get on so I'm still getting spam. Lovely. right now, Charlie, it seems that there are some people who are in favour of Wes Streeting and his potential challenge to Keir Starmer. They're just saying that he's waiting to see what happens with the rest of the cabinet. That other cabinet colleagues could go and see the Prime Minister today to tell him that the time is up, to tell the Prime Minister that he needs to set out a timetable for him to go. And that Wes Streeting does not want to preempt that. However, if you speak to people who are perhaps not so much in favour of a Wes Streeting premiership, they're more likely to say, look, he doesn't have the votes. People around him say that he does, but he doesn't. That's their argument. But clearly, what we're seeing right now is perhaps a Mexican stand-up for, or maybe like one of those memes with various Spider-Men all facing one another and no one moving. Why is that? Well, reportedly, Ed Miliband has explored the possibility of standing for the leadership. Angela Rayner, now clear of her HMRC tax difficulties, has a clear run at that post too. Al Khan's the junior defence minister, only an MP since 2024. He's reportedly been exploring the possibility. And of course, Andy Burnham struggling to find a seat too, but clearly on manoeuvres. So you've got these 5 names, all of them in a state of suspended animation, waiting and watching, waiting to see what might happen. I have to say, Charlie, while I've been standing on here on Downing Street through this morning, or perhaps just into this afternoon, I think it was around 12:05, Steve Reed, the housing secretary, came and walked down the street and into the black door behind me. Now, this is in the context of reportedly Cabinet Ministers going to see the Prime Minister today to tell him that the gig is up. But that would be strange from Steve Reed, given he's been such a vocal ally of the Prime Minister in the media. I have to say, I shouted at Steve Reed several questions. Do you support the Prime Minister? You come here to tell him that his time is up. I got no response from Steve Reed. Some other colleagues elsewhere in the media are reporting that the Prime Minister is due to go on a visit with Steve Reed to some housing developments today. That would be convenient if the Prime Minister wanted to get himself out of Downing Street and unavailable to be met by critical Cabinet Ministers. But I have to say, I've been trying to reach out to Steve Reed's people for the last hour or so, and I have not got confirmation of that visit myself. So it's hard to know exactly what's going on, but as I say, a seeming state of suspended animation, perhaps some sort of phony war that we're currently in. Shadow campaigns running behind the scenes, clearly, but no one has gone over the top. How long is a piece of string? Now, when the Conservative Party decided to replace Liz Truss with Rishi Sunak, that was done in the space of 4 days. But when Boris Johnson resigned as Prime Minister, in the space of 3 long months before the replacement was confirmed. Now, it's up to the Labour Party MPC, it's up to the ruling body of the Labour Party to set terms for a leadership contest. They could say that it's a very, very short contest, or they could say it's a very, very long contest indeed. It could even be a coronation, as we saw in 2007 when Tony Blair resigned and Gordon Brown stood. No serious challenger stood against him, no one with enough nominations, and therefore he automatically became Prime Minister without a contest. An interesting note of that 2007 coronation of Gordon Brown is that a man called David Miliband, who was going to be the Foreign Secretary, he went to see Tony Blair in that sort of period just before the contest or the non-contest started, asking Tony Blair's advice in terms of whether he should stand. Now, of course, David Miliband never became Labour Party. He never became Prime Minister. He lost the next leadership election to his brother, Ed Miliband. Now, had he stood against Gordon Brown in 2007, well, there would have been a chance that he could have become Prime Minister. Maybe that is something that is weighing in the back of all the contenders' minds right now. Not just the risk of being the person to go first, the so-called curse of he who wields the knife never wears the crown. Perhaps more pertinent, for some of these people to think about, are those who never wield the knife at all, who never go for it at all. History is littered with far more names, like Michael Portillo and David Miliband, the names like intensify. That's right. I think there's another meme, Charlie, with 5 of them, which might be more accurate. Lovely, thank you.
Now, before you go up, Tom,
Yes.
talking about it. What's yours there? Slide.
Hello. I've got you, yes. I'm doing it. Oh, God. Okay. Wait. Where's the sign? What? Wait, no. Hang on, no, that can't be right. Wait, what? Yes, it's gone. I've got the letter. Do it with me. I've got his letter. We have, hello. I've got it. Fucking hell. I've got, fucking morons. Charlie's breaking it. Yeah. I'm just saying, if you want to come to me on this breaking news story, we're right here on Downing Street for it. I think it's dropped because there's breaking news, guys. What? Sorry. What the fuck? What the fuck? That's absolutely right, Charlie. It's the moment that we had been waiting for, frankly, all day, but now it has happened. What we can take from this, we are not yet sure. But of course, Wes Streeting's detractors this entire day have been saying he has not gone over the top because he does not have the numbers. Now, does this statement, this two-page letter to the Health Secretary that has just released, does this indicate that he has the numbers, that he has fired his starting gun? Quite possibly. All week, we knew that today was the day that health data would come out, that NHS England would publish statistics on the waiting list times and such else. And this is clearly what Wes Streeting has used as a launch pad for a stinging rebuke of the Prime Minister. Just to read some more from this letter that Wes Streeting has just published. We've got a picture of it up there on the screen. It starts with, Dear Prime Minister, the results are in. I'm pleased to report I have delivered against the ambitious targets you set for me when I became your Secretary of State for Health and Social Care. He goes on to state all of the successes that he says that he has, but later on in the letter he says, last week's election results were unprecedented, both in the terms of the scale of the defeat and the consequences of that failure. For the first time in our country's history, nationalists are in power in every corner of the United Kingdom. A dangerous English nationalism, represented by Nigel Farage and Reform UK. He goes on and talks about the dangers of Reform UK. On the second page of this letter, he says there is no doubt the unpopularity of this government was a major and common factor in our defeats across England, Scotland and Wales. Good Labour people lost through no fault of their own. He goes on to say, to Keir Starmer, you have many great strengths I admire. You led our party to a victory few thought possible in 2024. I was proud to fight alongside you. He continues, but where we need vision, we have a vacuum. Where we need direction, we have drift. This was underscored by your speech on Monday. Leaders take responsibility, but too often that has meant other people falling on their swords. You need to listen to your colleagues, including backbenchers, and the heavy-handed approach to dissenting voices diminishes our politics. He goes on to say, it is now clear that you will not lead the Labour Party until the next general election, and that Labour MPs and Labour unions want the debate about what comes next to be a battle of ideas, not of personalities or petty factionalism. It needs to be broad. It needs to be the best possible field of candidates. I support that approach, and I hope that you will facilitate it. Serving as your Secretary of State for Health and Social Affairs has been the greatest joy of my life, and regardless of our differences this week, I remain truly grateful for you to the opportunity to serve. Now, that is not an explicit statement that Wes Streeting himself is standing, but it does say that Wes Streeting expects a contest. He expects the Prime Minister to facilitate a broad spread of candidates in this contest. Wes Streeting there is saying that this is inevitable, that the unions have said it's inevitable, that he, as now the first cabinet resignation, has said this is inevitable. And in this letter, he talks not only about his successes, his successes as Health Secretary, but the Prime Minister's failures, forcing others to sleep on their swords rather than taking the blame for repeated failures himself. He talks about the electoral failures of the Labour Party in England, Scotland and Wales. And he says the only way out of this rut is for new leadership in the Labour Party. Interestingly, Charlie Hebdorn doesn't say that he will be that next leader, although I think if you read between the lines, there's a heavy implication there. We are absolutely watching political history, and so many things about the last 4 days here at Downing Street have felt unprecedented. This is the 11th resignation from this government, let us not forget. 6 parliamentary private secretaries, 4 junior ministers, and now 1 cabinet minister. The question now is who's next, and frankly, what do the other potential challenges in this race do? One clever thing about this letter from Wes Streeting is that he doesn't use this as he himself declaring that he is a candidate. He says that there should be a broad field, the broadest possible field of candidates in this election, but not that he will be one of those. We all assume that he will. We all assume that he will. But he is not throwing his hat into the ring yet. Is this a challenge to people like Angela Rayner, Ed Miliband, Andy Burnham, for those people to step forward and say they will be candidates before he does? There is, after all, this stalking horse suspicion. There is this perception that the first person to declare to launch their campaign, that they will be perhaps disadvantaged in the general context. But I think we can read between the lines. I think many people will say this is when Streeting firing has started up, challenging the Prime Minister to allow for this context. And indeed, we may well see in the coming minutes and indeed hours that this contest has got going. No doubt, people are getting on the phones to Angela Rayner, to Andy Burnham, to Ed Miliband, even to Al Khan, the junior defence minister. People that have spoken about as potential candidates in this race. But we do also know that almost 100 Labour MPs have called for a contest. So it is not beyond the realms of possibility that this formal process will start very, very soon. The formal process that requires 81 Labour MPs to attach their names to one specific candidate to kick this race off. Not beyond the realms of possibility that that formal race begins by the end of the day. So much. incredibly charged language jargon, and that will no doubt be language that is not aimed at the country at large, that is not aimed at those many millions of people who used to vote for the Labour Party and who have switched to the Reform Party. This isn't the kind of language that will win them over. This is language designed to be appealing to Labour Party members, to the rank and file of the Labour Party, who really like to pretend that this is something that can be said that will win the Labour Party hearts and minds across the country. I think that you're right to pick up on how it is not necessarily true. The framing that the Health Secretary is putting up here, that there's nationalists in Wales in Plaid Cymru, nationalists in Scotland in the SNP, and nationalists in England in Reform UK. Because as you rightly say, the Reform Party in Scotland has exactly the same number of MSPs as the Labour Party in Scotland. They are joint second in terms of number of seats in Parliament. And the Reform Party in Wales is the official opposition. Dan Thomas, the leader of Reform Wales, is the leader of the opposition in the Senate in Cardiff. So yes, you're completely right to point out that this caricature of Nigel Farage as an English nationalist is perhaps somewhat outdated, given the success that Reform had not just in England, north and south, but in Scotland and in Wales too on Thursday. And this is the problem for the Labour Party. Battered and beaten in every corner of the country. That they are not just facing a easy fight in Scotland, losing votes only to the SNP, that they're not facing an easy fight in Wales, losing votes only to Plaid Cymru, that in fact they are losing votes from their left and their right. And that is an incredibly difficult thing for a leader to contend with. Thank you.
need to have the numbers about it. The Labour Party say to get to the point where there are multiple candidates. How does that work? So there you go. No process. So there's no whittling down, it's one by one. So it would be one go where they would just decide who they so there's a preference,
I didn't realise which camera it was. I didn't know, look, I'm so tired. I didn't know which camera. I literally stood there and I thought this is the wrong camera.
things are very, very fluid. Then we ask, if we did get to that, then it's a business. If we did get to that, then to say that, if there is all things on the move,
not realised. I was thinking it was what happens when somebody goes from 5:30 I'll have to go to get. Oh, actually, George will to come in with his press card. You're a lifesaver. Have you got your press? Have you got your press card on you? Don't worry. I'll come down if I'm not in the middle of a live. Just. Oh, no, I can't come now because I'm going to be going on in a minute. I'm sorry. Just, you're going to have to lurk. I'm so sorry. I'll be there as quick. They said they're coming to me next. So sorry, George. Okay, see you shortly. Bye, bye, bye.
Surprised to sit that building just yesterday when you had that one-on-one meeting with the Prime Minister, told me completely not looking for the Prime Minister. has posted a letter, it's exactly the same. It says, vision, we have background, the direction, we have drinks, responsibilities on Monday. We undertake responsibility for too often to prevent others from doing this. So, colleagues, backbenchers, and the heavy-handed approach to safety policies diminish our policy. He goes on to say, it is now clear not being the Labour Party to the next general election. It doesn't do that better.
Hello, can you check when I'm coming to me? Because George is at the gate of Downing Street, can't get in, he's not getting trespass. And I changed to, I thought they were coming to me now, but it's just gone to another guest. Can you just stop it? Alright, so George will just have to stand on the road a bit longer than me, yeah. Alright, no problem, I'll apologise. So thank you, thanks, bye-bye. Yeah, George is right. Yeah, if you want, if it's all set, you can, yeah. Thank you so much.
Then also now, I think others interview West Street is residing is about to introduce all the other potential issues around industry. What will she do now? Given that the race might be about to start, and Furno have a seat. His team do, his allies have been saying there are seats available to. We haven't heard any MPs just want to resign. So definitely right, that's another person who's going to have to make a decision about what they do next. We've also got outside candidates, our Keir Starmer, who's been named quite a few times by MPs as a potential dark horse as the next military man in 2024. He now moves on to leadership race. The indication here is that there are about to pot up very quickly. The Prime Minister will now need to decide whether he wants to take on anyone who wants to challenge him, whether he's going to stay in place, or he's going to set out a departure date and he's going to resign.
I've lost colleagues in a week, literally, just about 20 seconds ago.
And is it delayed?
Yeah, I can't hear it. Oh, it's come back. It's come back. It's come back. But no one's going to interview. Yes, welcome to Downing Street, where the weather is totally wild, and I think wild would be the word that I would use to sum up what is going on at the moment, because we have half of what we were expecting from Westminster. We had this two-page resignation letter, some pretty damning lines in it saying where we need vision, we have a vacuum, where we need direction, we have drift. Leaders take responsibility, but too often that is let people falling on their swords. But what he hasn't done is actually triggered a challenge. He has not written to the NEC with those 81 days that he needs to do that. In fact, his letter suggests at the moment something rather different, because he has said that it is clear that the Prime Minister won't lead the Labour Party to the general election, but he also suggests that there needs to be a wide field of candidates, and that suggests to me that he wants perhaps a long timetable that would give Andy Burnham, the Mayor of Greater Manchester, time to find a seat and how to challenge himself. Now, we've all been thinking that Western moment was now or never, before the Mayor of Greater Manchester sets out, finds a ticket to get back. But actually, Western is not pulling the trigger on the leadership challenge. Is that because we haven't got the numbers nailed down? Or is it something else? I've been looking at some of the polling. Labour list had done a survey of about 1,200 Labour members, and that suggested that the Prime Minister would very comfortably beat West Street. Andy Burnham would beat the Prime Minister. At the moment, it looks like Ed Miliband or Angela Rayner could potentially beat the Prime Minister too. So we don't know where this goes next, and we are in uncharted territory because the Labour Party does not do this. Well, I mean, it is doing it, but it's never done it before. They've never taken out a sitting Prime Minister. They have a lot of trouble in getting Prime Ministers into office in the first place. This is what the Tories do. This is what the Tories do over and over again. And this is what Labour were elected on a promise to stop the chaos, to do the opposite of what we're seeing now. They said that they would stop the chaos, they would stop the crisis, we would have calm, competent government focused on delivering policies. How times have changed.
Keir Starmer. Is that something you always see that international prime ministers forced out, having been market factory, recent prime ministers from the reference back to the last time, it's a very different thing. Where are you on that and some of the public opinion? Is it possible to stick the parties together? What's the Conservative Party succession of factions that were never able to come together very long? Is that the danger that the Labour Party feels well?
Not immediately. Keir Starmer has said repeatedly that it will only start as and when a contender, gets the 81 nominations and triggers the contest. And what Scrutiny has explicitly said today in Resign is that he does not want to start a contest until the broadest range of candidates, and he is making does not means this have just be delayed long enough for Burnham to try to get like a so we're on a slow burn. Now, I'm sure Keir Starmer and his colleagues will say it's partly because they were led and actually get the 81 nominations. It wasn't through either way. They'll say he's correct, right, and didn't want to be humiliated. In the Scrutiny camp, what they would say is Scrutiny is himself taking today, putting the Future Party above his personal ambition and making damage circumstances. And what they assume, but it may turn out to be a brave bet, is that enough MPs and enough cabinet ministers will agree with him that the Prime Minister's time is up. That was, one of the striking messages in his letter, and will go in to see the Prime Minister at some point the next day or so and just say, look, Scrutiny is right, we need to have a contest. But it's a high risk play by Scrutiny because there are those around the Prime Minister and the Prime Minister himself reach the line that makes the president stay and then it's for the budget. So this leadership stuff would actually disallow resignation, at least.
Prime Minister, potentially, where Scrutiny is about the numbers, starting contest, and then of course all the other challenges. So let's take it in stages.
We're still in.
In terms of those other challenges, one of the very important things we're talking about. And
So basically, Bernard's going to give it.
so as of today,
right? Bernard, there's a lot of Bernard. And so, and the fact that he is sort of
like in or out, so that especially if there is
Thanks for the help, guys. I'll see you.
stay with me because around the world just for a few minutes. Mark's been trained in very, very busy now. Capital Secretary Resign still hasn't formally launched all the focus on that. What we're seeing is very good. Welcome here to BC News. Where do you think we are?